known all week.
Okay, great. All right, that's fine. Hey, you have dad's bet baseball. I am Adam Rosenberg. With me, as always, is CJ Buskey, aka Slippin' Jimmy. CJ, where are you? Are you in a bathroom? Where are you right now?
I mean, I'm dedicated to this podcast, but not that dedicated. Although this is a true dad's podcast, Adam, because my 9-month-old is actually sitting right next to me. So you might hear him make a cameo during this one. This is not me checking to see if Paul Skeens has been traded each time that my eyes flicker to the left. That's because my son is sitting right here. But no, I'm at my in-laws for Memorial Day weekend.
Well, that is, you are committed to the pod. After this, so last night I dealt with flooding last night in my basement, which is a New England thing. I will talk about it more on the dad move of the week. And then after this, I'm going to go pick up a dresser with my wife. So, but here's what I want to jump into, because there are two things that are top of mind to me. One, I had mentioned last week about, Monday. I mentioned on Monday about watching the games. And there's a really good example that I saw yesterday, which was, I was talking to a friend of the pod and friend of our group text that we never use anymore, but whatever. Taylor, my other friend, Taylor.
I know. Sad.
We never use that anymore. Taylor Taylor's a Braves fan, and Taylor's like, hey, what do you think of AJ Smith-Shawyer today? He's like, he shoved against this. There was a lot of rematches this week against teams that had pitched players, literally the same matchup, but just home road. Yep. And he said, what do you think about him? He shoved against it last week. And I was like, oh, I could get into it. And then I looked and I was like, wait. And then he said, yeah, it was the doubleheader. And I'm like, wait, that's different. Because the thing is if you looked at the box score, all you saw was, wow, man, he shoved against this team. But if you realize that if you watch the game, it was a doubleheader. Doubleheaders are pretty much approached as split squad games. It's just, let's get a split. Let's do whatever. It's not something like with the only, I would say the only time I've seen a doubleheader matter was that Braves Mets one at the end of the year. But Chris Sale
was just about to bring this up. Funny you bring up the Braves, because this is the only doubleheader I can think of.
Right. But also Chris Sale quit on his team hours before that game. Yeah. So I don't know if that really matters. But my point to all this is, if you knew that he was a doubleheader, you have to take those metrics with a grain of salt, because you kind of are punting one game. It's not that you're punting a game. It's just that the conditions are very different. What happened yesterday? You got absolutely shelled. So again, I'm not saying you got to watch every single game that's out there, but context matters. So that was just something that I wanted to start off with. That was really important. I don't know if you'd seen any of those before I get into our main topic that I want to talk about.
I actually did, because you and I were literally texting about a game this morning that mattered if you watched the whole game, which was, I had said to you, man, I can't believe how good Carl John's been this season. And that I watched the entire Yankees-Rangers game yesterday, and complete dominant effort by Rodon once again. He was magnificent yesterday. Here's the thing. You immediately texted back and said, cool, that game was played in 46-degree weather.
While you do you froze? Yeah. Hold on. I froze or you froze? You froze. I heard dominant against the Yankees. Now I hear you.
Completely dominant game. Okay. You texted back and said this was a game played in 46-degree weather and nobody wanted to be there, and it was a get out of there game. And you're right. And watching that whole game, you would kind of get that sense that both of these teams did not want to necessarily play that day. This was kind of, all right, let's try and score something quick if we can, and then just hold on. That's exactly how the game played out. And so fantastic pitching duel, but if you watch the game, you would have realized, hey, the conditions actually played quite well into that duel.
That game was over quickly. They were like, let's just do this. We're done. Yeah. We were like, that was, no, I completely agree. So look, that's, I think actually that you bring up, look, we can stick with the Yankees actually, because what I want to do is stick with the Yankees and pitching, and actually just, this is the guy on the other side too, I'd like to talk about. So I would like to talk about the AL Cy Young race. And here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to give you 4 names to start. and then you are able to switch out one for those 4, and then we can begin. And what I want to do is eventually whittle this down to 2, and we can kind of figure out who we think in 2 months into the season is the should be the rightful leader in the AL Cy Young market. Here are the 4 names I'm going to give you. You can approve them or not. Hunter Brown, Tariq Skubal, Max Fried, Jacob deGrom. Is there one of those guys you want to swap out for another one as we move forward?
So I want to treat this sort of like WrestleMania style. Like I want to build up to the cage match, right? Then we're going to get to the final 2 guys. I got one guy that we need to throw out of the ring right now. And
who's that?
He actually has somebody on his team who is a better starting pitcher this season than who you named, which is Nathan Eovaldi needs to be in this conversation instead.
He is by far the most underrated pitcher in the league who's not named Matt Boyd. It's unreal.
Not just underrated. Go look at. I guess we're getting right into this because now we've got our 4, which would be
Eovaldi, So this is so let's go with the 4.
Hunter
so we have
Brown.
4 now. So like being able to say 1 point. So we have 4. We're going Hunter Brown, Skubal, Fried, Eovaldi. Okay. Say a quick thing though about why you think Eovaldi's part of that conversation. Then let's get this down to who are the 3 from there.
Well, first off, wins above replacement. Eovaldi is first in the AL. Okay, 2.2 wins above replacement so far this season by Sierra. So, a couple of the metrics that I want to talk about that you and I both try to evaluate as we're capping pitchers. This is day to day, but also especially for awards and season long markets. Sierra. Skill-based interactive ERA. It's a Fangraphs proprietary metric, and I like to think of it almost as kind of like an ERA plus, although I think there is an ERA plus.
There is ERA plus,
right? Yeah. So it's just let's call it, I don't know, ERA plus. So Eovaldi is second in this metric at 2.69 Sierra. He is right now 4th in the AL in ERA at 1.6. So what that's telling me is that Sierra is saying basically, given luck and a number of other factors, his expected ERA would be around 2.79, which again, that's second best in the AL. His ERA, just straight ERA, 1.6. If you dive though into some of these other like really important metrics, he's 3rd in K- walk ratio. 3rd in K- walk ratio. Why is that important? So 24.1%. That's saying that he has had elite command in order to be able to not only strike out batters, but he is not walking guys. So if you go to, for example, strikeouts right now, you'll see that the AL leader is Rodon. Rodon also obviously started yesterday. If you go into the K- walk ratio, he's way down that list. I can't even get to his page on Fangraphs right now because he also he walks a ton of guys in the AL. So Eovaldi, 2nd in Sierra, he's 3rd in K- walk ratio. He is right now, if we look at WHIP, so he is leading the league in WHIP at 0.79. I was amazed at him looking at some of the different underlying stuff with him because I knew he had been good. And I think you could talk about this a little bit more. I think people kind of put him in this bucket of, well, he's a great postseason pitcher. And then last season we talked a lot about, well, he's really good at home. If you got Eovaldi on the mound at home, you're feeling pretty good. I got to be honest, like I was really perplexed at looking at some of like the Sierra K- walk, the WHIP, all of that. And to me, like, not only do I think he's a Cy Young candidate, I think he has to be one of maybe the 2 or 3 favorites.
Okay. So then let's do I will add to the Eovaldi. He is the only pitcher in the AL who has a complete game shutout this season. So all right, moving. So that we have 3 pitchers now. We have Eovaldi, I'm assuming that Eovaldi's making it to this next round. So so we're going.
We got to put him ahead of Hunter Brown, unfortunately.
Okay, so we're doing so we basically have ended up with we have 3. So we have Eovaldi, Skubal, and Fried. Pick 2.
Ooh, okay, so now it gets hard because I had a very clear top 2. coming into this. This is not a premeditated battle. I just want to say that we've talked about this, but
we've talked about it for a bit. Yeah.
I think based on a couple other factors that I'm going to point out here once we get to the final two, I'm going to throw Eovaldi out now and keep it to Fried and Skubal, even though Eovaldi is, if you look at whip, you look at K- walk ratio, you look at Sierra, all of those things, he is at war right now. He is better than Max Fried. There's a couple of things, though, that I really like about Fried in particular that I want to save this for when we go for the mano-a-mano cage match between him and Skubal. I think Skubal also has to get the nod because if you just look again at very, very good chance that he will lead the league in strikeouts. He's at 79 right now. I'm trying to see what his K per nine is right now. It's
it leads is it
leading? Yeah, it's almost a full.
It's K also higher. I think also the reason why I think that what you're trying to say before we get into like the nitty gritty of this, and spoilers to everybody, this is about to become Fried versus Skubal. I think the point that you are trying to make, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Skubal has done nothing as the reigning Cy Young to not be able to defend it in this final. Okay. Which I would agree with. Okay. So we have gotten now down the two pitchers that we think are the AL Cy Youngs right now. I am on team Tariq Skubal and CJ is on team Max Fried. CJ, I will give you the floor right now to please present your case on why is Max Fried, who is Jewish, so you know that I obviously love him because of that. Went to high school with another future friend of the program, Jack Flaherty.
Love Jack Flaherty, by the way.
We love Jack Flaherty. Dude, also, shout out to Jack Flaherty for going over yesterday, digging deep and getting an over 17.5 outs yesterday. He hasn't done that in months. And so I'm really glad that he did it for me. Anyway, so tell us why Max Fried you think should be I don't know if you have his odds in front of you for AL Cy Young.
So he was 5-1 when we started talking about this week. So the genesis, by the way, of this whole WrestleMania Cy Young bet was, we always like to look at futures and especially award markets. And I made the case, which I don't think this is even debatable right now, that AL Cy Young is the most interesting race of any of the award markets right now. You could say NL MVP is kind of interesting, but I think AL Cy Young, there's so many guys that
we have a really good portfolio for it also now. Like we have a very good portfolio for it.
Just to list for the listeners, here's your top 6 by odds. So Skubal, which this has gone, he was, by the way, at plus 165. This was earlier this week. He is at 2-1. Hunter Brown plus 425. Fried still sitting at 5-1. Crochet plus 550. Notice that we have not mentioned his name at all. There's a couple
we haven't said him once. Yeah.
Eovaldi at 9-1, and then DeGrom at 12-1. So that's from DraftKings. Again, go. Obviously look for the best odds. But those are your 6 favorites. Okay. So Fried at 5-1 versus Skubal at how do you pronounce it? At 2-1. Here's my case for Max Fried and why I think I'm right. Well, I know I'm right. So Max Fried, lowest ERA in the AL, so 1.29. That's a full 1.6 runs better than Skubal, who is 12th in this metric. He is better than Skubal in whip. He's 5th in whip right now. He has pitched more innings than Skubal. He is better in terms of batting average against at 186 versus Skubal at 220. And you're probably, I know you're sitting there thinking like, okay, well, you haven't mentioned K- BB Sierra, which obviously Skubal leads in. And that's one of my favorite metrics to cap Cy Young, or not Cy Young, but just pitchers. And my counter to this is you have to think of award markets in terms of how you're capping them. Some of those metrics are a little bit different and some factors are a little bit different than your day-to-day stuff, because we're not betting on who do we necessarily think is the best pitcher. We think, who do writers think is the best pitcher, right? That's the key thing. So the next thing I wanted to bring up to you preemptively here is Skubal is going to beat Fried on strikeouts. We know this. He's going to have more strikeouts. His K per nine is just going to be exponentially better. Strikeouts is one of those vanity metrics we talk about. We talked a lot about
this is why all the talk about Trevor Molly being in the Cy Young, it's never going to happen. It's not happening. Not
it's one of the reasons why we said last month that if you're going to bet a Cy that's going to be good value on the Phillies, go bet Luzardo.
It's Luzardo. He's
going to have the vanity metrics, right? So I did a little bit of research into this coming into this cage match on. All right. Well, Skubal, by the way, is 11th in ERA. So out of the last 68 Cy Young winners, I want you to first tell me what number do you think 68 have finished outside the top 3 in ERA for their respective league?
So you broke up a lot there, but let me just repeat the question. It was what percentage, what number of people do I think were out of the top 68? Say that again. You broke up.
So there's 68 Cy Young winners since 1990. Mm-hmm. How many of them have been outside of the top 3 in ERA that have won?
Probably, I'm going to say 10.
Okay. Close, pretty close. 12. There's 12 Cy Young winners who have been outside the top 3. All right.
Okay. So 12 of the 68. So roughly 12%. Roughly.
It's like 17%, I think.
17%. Sorry.
Actual number is. Okay. So 17%. All right. Let's drill into that then. So out of those 12, how many of those 12 led the league in strikeouts?
I'd imagine all of them. There's 8 of them.
2. Only 2. There has only been 2 pitchers since 1990 that have led the league in strikeouts and been outside the top 3 in ERA and won Cy Young. So compare that to 56 of the 68 winners have had to have been in the top 3 in ERA. So I'm gonna rest my case right there as to why.
It's like Lionel Hutz. It's like you rest your case. Well, hold on. Let's get back to
ERA actually is
case closed.
That's my main point here is if you're gonna say that the whole thing is Skubal is going to get way more strikeouts and his vanity metrics are going to look better, my counter is going to say that historically that actually doesn't line up at all, and he's going to need to have a stronger ERA to be able to get into this to win. And I don't think 2-1 is correct that he's the favorite.
Okay. So here's my pushback. There are a number of metrics that Skubal has. First of all, Skubal started out the season against the Dodgers and gave up 5 runs. And his second start, he gave up 4 runs. And the problem with ERA overall, and the reason why you and I don't lean on ERA for capping, and we do Sierra, is because ERA, if you have a bad start early in the season, you are chasing that the rest of the year. Like it is likely Skubal is never going to have a sub-2 ERA unless he just has some unprecedented streak. Both of these guys are within a fraction of each other within whip, and they're both elite whips. It's Fried's is 0.93, Skubal is 0.94. They're both within that top 6. By the way, Eovaldi obviously leads the league in that. Expected ERA, Skubal leads the league. Expected ERA for Fried is a full run higher than Skubal. So just know that there is, and I hate when people in networks like Action Network and stuff talk about luck boxes and stuff. There is a little bit of that is saying that there's a little bit of luck and overperformance and things like that. The biggest thing for me, because you are absolutely right in the case, like there are going to be some vanity, there are going to be some things there, but if you shift the conversation a little bit to what does this guy mean with the team given his situation? Max Fried, 3rd in the league amongst pitchers with 5 or more starts and run support. By the way, the league, it's led by Ben Brown. I just want everyone to know this. Ben Brown has overwhelming run support of 8 runs per game. Max Fried's run support is 6.8. Skubal's is 5.2. Max Fried has pitched 1 inning this season, not with a lead, which means he has been able to downhill pitch, which I call, people say downhill pitching also means your height, but I use downhill pitching of being looser pitching. Skubal has had tied or come from behind, kept his team in some games. Probably the most important thing to me that sums a lot of this up is that Detroit is 3 full games. Detroit's the best record in the majors, actually, with 33 wins. I didn't even realize. I thought it was like just AL. Nope, it's in the majors. They have 33 wins. They have 3 more wins than the Yankees. It is very difficult for me to see a writer's world where the second best team in the AL is rewarded with both MVP and Cy Young. That's kind of that is why I think do I think that Fried should be shorter than 5-1? Yeah. I think Fried and Hunter Brown should be switched. I think that Fried should probably be plus 275. And I think that Skubal should probably be, I would put Skubal at plus 125.
Yeah, I agree. And the last point you made was the one that has been eating at me at night is I make this case all the time where, well, if it's a good team, they're going to reward somebody on that team. Like we talked about this the whole last year with the Phillies. I'm like, well, somebody on that team's winning an award. There's someone like they've had a good season. That's usually how it works. They try to give the people their pedals basically at the end of the year, and they try to distribute them somewhat evenly, so they don't look like they're necessarily biased. I will say there have been 14 occurrences where a team has had an MVP and a Cy Young on the same team, and I'm not including the ones where you have like a Verlander season where he won MVP and Cy Young. So it does happen.
Yeah. And Kershaw. Well,
so
Kershaw,
Kershaw
they won.
The most recent one was, I believe it was Scherzer in 13 with Miggy Cabrera and Scherzer. Yeah. Also, fun fact, Scherzer was, I think he was like 7th in ERA that season, but he had 21 wins. It was like 21-3, I think, that year. And he just obviously mashed on Ks. So I don't think I wouldn't make the case of you have to eliminate Fried because we know Judge is going to win the MVP unless he gets hurt. I think Fried is still alive. I also think there's some narrative that helps Fried in that they lose Soto. Yankees offseason looks like it's in total peril. They signed Fried.
The Cole injury and him sticking. I think Fried has more of a case for MVP almost than I think Fried Skubal really has more of a case for MVP than he does for Cy Young, if you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I grant you the team winning is your strongest point, but I think if there's at least if the delta between ERA on Fried and Skubal is as large as it is right now, and that's how it ends the season, I just have a hard time believing that writers are going to reward, especially because Skubal won this last year. I just have a hard time believing that they won't give Fried a look, or they'll give Nathan Eovaldi a look if he continues pitching the way he is. And maybe Adam, we're both wrong, and it's actually Nathan Eovaldi is the one staring at us in the face, and he should have been coming out of Cy Young mania as our champion. But
I wonder what it is. I also, by the way, have breaking news. As a guest who was supposed to come in, Colby thought we, for whatever reason, meant 11 Central, so he's not going to be able to join us. And I'm gonna tell him it's fine. He's rushing through his own show, and I'm like, don't do that. But yeah, it's funny because we have DeGrom, we have Hunter, we have Joe Ryan, and I kind of wonder. I think I don't want to have any more guys that are longer. I think I kind of want to. I still think it comes down to Fried or Skubal. I think that ultimately it's ultimately going to be Skubal hasn't done anything to lose the right to be one of the finalists type of thing.
You say Kikuchi at 150-1? That doesn't give you any sort of tingle?
Too short. Kikuchi and Reagan's Kikuchi had shorter odds than Reagan's to lead the league in strikeouts last year. It was crazy. That was going into last year.
That is the baseball savant community coming in very hard into pre-future markets because he was a darling by BS last year.
He stinks. All right. So sounds good. So normally we would have our segment with Colby, but we're gonna push him to next week. That's his fault. I'm gonna throw him completely under the bus. Colby Marchio, that's at Colby M Betts. You can all holler at him and be like, what the hell, man? All right. Let's kind of talk about some markets and some fun things that we've been playing around with this week. They got rid of one of our favorite markets, it seems, which is team home run. It now either shows up only on FanDuel an hour before the game, or you could bet no home run, which is the problem is that usually when you have a team that's not hitting home runs, they're giving up a lot of home runs as well. It's very hard to find that type of situation. But I have been betting that a lot. But another one that I've been having a lot of fun with that I dust off that you had mentioned it earlier in the season is first to strike out, which we almost got the other day with Hunter Brown.
Yeah.
It's such a good market because what you can do using our site is our site has last 30 plate appearances against a specific hand, and you can do it by batting order within the projected batting order. It ends up being the batting order when RotoWire updates. But what you're able to see is if you have low K guys that are on the home team or low K guys on the away team, and you have a away starter, they're going to have bonkers odds to be the first strikeout. If you think that the 1 through 4 hitters can get through, or 1 through 3 hitters can get through and not strike out in the top, and that pitcher, in this case, it was Hunter Brown at 2-1, and he did get 2 strikeouts in the bottom of the first. It's a pretty good bet. Christian Walker, by the way, ruined that bet for us because he bats cleanup, but he's the one who ruined that bet. I did not expect it to get that far. I thought Taj was going to have a 1-3 inning. But anyway, I really love that market. CJ, is there an off market that you've been messing around with as well and having fun with? And we can give a shout to actually after that, we'll give a shout to our friend of the program who helps us investigate these markets.
Yeah, it would be Hall of Fame Bets. So great app. It really helps being able to look at some of this. I talk about it all the time, but if you go into the matchup feature for individual batters, you can actually see how they performed against specific relievers in that bullpen and a history against those relievers. Can't get that anywhere else. Make sure to use the promo code DADS, and you will get a discount there from Hall of Fame Bets. So just wanted to throw that out there. I think the only one I would add to, maybe we should also dust this one back off. I love the first to 3Ks market.
I really do like that. I got to go back to that one. That's a fun one. That's probably a good one today, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's and to be honest, like you could kind of play that with first K, like first strikeout, and then you maybe do a smaller bet, or you could even use like first to 3Ks is more of like your floor bet, and the first to K is sort of your ceiling. And if you obviously, there's a chance you could hit both. But the nice thing about that one is, if you get like, for example, the Christian Walker example the other day, okay, you get screwed by him in the top of the first, but Hunter Brown still gets 2 Ks right away in the bottom of the first. So it's a nice kind of almost like a protection against that first K where you'd be able to still back the guy you think ultimately is going to strike out the top of the order quicker than the other guy, but you can play or sprinkle a little bit of that first to K on top of it, and you'd still come out profitable no matter what, as long as you hit that first to 3K. So I like that one. That's on DraftKings. I haven't seen that.
You know where it is? Yeah, where it is. I'm just looking for it right now. I see first strikeout thrown. Game props
it's probably game props. Game props, or might even be on pitcher props.
It used to be. It was earlier in the season. It was always there. They've been ditching a lot of the ones that we've been having fun. Oh yeah, race to strikeouts. First to 3.
Race
Peralta. Yeah, race to 3. So I'm just eyeing this because Peralta's plus 160 against Skeens. Kind of like that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look if there's any other.
I mean, these are not good offenses, and you're probably looking at the exact same thing that I'm looking at. But I like that. I
like the combined strikeouts one too. That's kind of a fun.
Oh, I love that one. I've been having a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah, combined strikeouts is cool. I think the one that you are more inclined to play is the team total strikeouts, and the team total strikeouts.
Wait, combined as in the starters?
The bullpen, but you can play the combined starters for strikeouts.
Where?
So you could play if you go to combined player props.
Oh my God, I've never market. This is
see
awesome.
This on MLB, on DraftKings. So you can do combined strikeouts under combined player props. And, you know, you could see, for example, today you could do Paul Skeens and Freddie Peralta 13 plus 105.
Well, no, man, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it on I can tell you right now, if you're listening live, I'm going to do it on the Hunter Brown, Matt Boyd game.
That's another market that I like. Like if you really like the two starters to just whiff some guys, or you've got one starter that you think, you know, especially like if you get in these matchups where, if I look at the probables for this weekend against like some really bad teams, like some, you know, if I'm looking at like anybody who, for example, is playing the Rockies, and I'm looking at like
it's not a good, yeah.
Max Fried, for example, if you just think Max Fried is going to absolutely shove tomorrow against the Rockies and you think he's going to get 9-10 plus Ks, like go check out the combined strikeouts prop one, because you could probably get, you know, 12 plus Ks combined with him. And I want to say, who's tomorrow? Is it Kyle Freeland?
Some bum.
And
yeah. Kyle Freeland's got
get plus money.
Yeah.
So
nope, I like it.
Those are a couple of the markets I like.
Again, yeah, shout out to Hall of Fame Bets, because they have a lot of really good team market breakouts that we use, and that's what we use specifically for these. One thing I want to add before we go to dad moves is the King of the Diamond promo. Let's talk a little bit about that. So the King of the Diamond promo on DK is this promo that not everybody knows how to use, but is awesome. And basically, you bet a guy to hit a home run, and if he hits the rules are what? If he hits a home run and his team
hits a home run, then your
team, and his team is the highest scoring team. Yeah.
So if you pick a guy like, okay, so this is gonna sound super square and chalky, but that's kind of
it is. It's a chalky promo, but it's a great promo.
But so let's say, 2 weeks ago I took Shohei Ohtani as one of my guys.
Same.
And the great thing about this promo too is that you can combine up to 5 players and you only have to bet $5 on the parlay. Really makes my picket tracking for the day also look fun, because the max win is usually like $7,000 because of the 5 players. So I'll go to my picket like, oh, I could win $7,000 today. Wow. Like that, and then you realize it's just the 5 pick parlay for the home runs. But you pick a player for the parlay, Ohtani, for example. If he hits a home run, now that the Dodgers are eligible basically to win the promo, and now they just have to be the highest scoring team. If they are the highest scoring team, then you get the free bet. So I got $60
the other day. It was crazy. It was a crazy payout.
The last week though, so there's 2 ways I think you can kind of play this. One is, which I think this is the way I play it, this is the way you play it, and this is the way that I'd recommend to play it, is play it as a chalky promo. You're only betting $5, and yet when I bet Shohei Ohtani, I still got $60 in free bets back.
Yeah.
So you're trying to just win the promo, just win the free bet. That's all that matters. So go bet Aaron Judge, go bet Ohtani, go look at on
Schwarber is like Schwarber. You should be your guy all the time on the Phillies.
The easy way to cap it, we mentioned Handigraphs, our site. You go to that site, you go to the team stats, which teams are top 5, top 6 in WRC plus, then look at splits between lefties and righties. And then you can kind of just quickly notepad, okay, here's my teams. Go pick the player who's most likely to hit a home run on those teams. Boom. Now you've built your parlay. It takes you all maybe 10 minutes to build this. That's one way. The other way is that you could say, I want to maximize the free bet. Like I want to play this sort of like a DraftKings lineup, or use some game theory here to be able to win a massive payout. If you had Wilmer Flores last week,
you would
have gotten $13,000 in free bets. There's a whole other discussion on how you use those free bets.
I think we should talk about that next episode. We should talk about what you do with free bets.
We can talk about free bet conversion in the next episode, but that's another way where you could say, all right, I think the Giants have a good chance to score a lot of runs today, but I'm not going to go take Adames or Chapman, for example. I'm going to go, I'll take someone like Flores who has a good matchup, and you're obviously a lot riskier and your chances of winning the promo are much lower. But if you win, the payout is going to be insane. Like you would just have a crazy payout. So those are the 2 ways to play it. Depending on your risk tolerance or level, play however you want. But I just want to win the promo. So that's why I'm like, yeah, bet the teams you think are score the most runs, and the
yeah, be square. Cal Raleigh should be in every single one of these. It's fun. All right. So again, apologies that we do not have Colby on. It is Colby's fault. I don't know why he randomly thought it would suddenly be Central Time. But it's been here before. We're gonna move to Dad Moves of the Week. Producer Spencer has a video problem, but so he is not going to be on it. But CJ, I will kick off my Dad Move of the Week. Do you guys own a blow up house? It's kind of a double
like a bouncy house.
Yeah.
We do not.
I guess not.
Actually,
I've been to your house. It's actually it wouldn't make sense. Never mind. So in the burbs, we have a lot of space, and so some of us you can get a bouncy house for like $100. But the thing that comes with a bouncy house, which is by the way, like I said, a separate dad move altogether. But the thing that comes with the bouncy house is this blow up thing. It's like a high powered fan that does that makes things go and you can use that, as I did last night, to dry out water in your basement really well.
Oh, like a surf.
Dude, you plug it in and it's like the most high powered fan that just pushes water away, and it's pretty awesome. So the Dad Move of the Week is to get yourself one of the blow up what do I want to call it? It's like it's just a blow up. It's a blow up air charger,
wind fan,
whatever it is. Wind fan, yeah. For a bouncy house, get one of those and use it in your basement if it floods.
Or you could just, take it a step further. Go get a boat, attach that to the back of the boat.
Blower, Gio's
there you go.
Blower.
Start your own shrimping company, and just get a boat.
There you go.
The back of that there.
Anyway, that's my dad move of the week.
My dad move of the week, other than anything is possible. I just recorded this entire podcast with my 9-month-old just sitting here chilling the entire time. So good. Anybody tells you if you're a new dad,
it's not a soundboard that just has baby sounds.
No. That's real there. But I think my only dad, if we're talking about like functional things that you can use, this isn't functional around the house. It's just that my daughter loves it, and I would recommend this to anybody who doesn't have one, is a Tony box. Tony boxes, if you guys don't know it, they are basically these little boxes awesome. You can put in, you can get characters, and then they play songs or stories for your kids when they put them on. It's like kind of a cheat code for not using screen time, but they feel like they're kind of getting a similar experience. My daughter uses her Tony almost every night to go to sleep because we call it quiet time, where she just listens to it, and it's made kind of the process of putting her down for bed easier. But Tonys are I think they're not even that expensive. You can take them really anywhere whenever you go on vacation and stuff. So they don't sponsor this show. If they did, we'd love to have you because it'd be a great dad sponsor. But Tony boxes, good thing to have if you're a dad, especially if kids like under 5.
Double that. That's what we give Nora for her own quiet time. And she goes into her room and she brings her Tonys in and she like puts them on and she sings to herself. So no, that's a good dad move of the week. All right. So this was fun. Sorry guys that it wasn't as bloody and violent, and that we had agreeable agreeable discourse. Oh, it's Colby's asking that he can roll in. Do we want him to roll in right now? I think we got
sure.
Roll in for 5. Yeah, Colby's gonna roll in. So we're not closing the show. Yep, come on. Tell him he's coming on in. Like we'll do it. Yep, come in. I just texted him. So this is it's hilarious. So yeah, I was about to throw Colby under the bus, but this is he says he's gonna be in 5. All right, so I guess we can wait for him. So Gio pointing out that having kids is a plus EV play for the long run, the positive or the negatives. I don't know. I've lost a lot of money on my children. But the Tony box thing is just awesome because there's a couple of them that are like spin-offs of Disney. So they're not the actual songs, but the Encanto one is the actual songs. The Encanto one is the real songs from the movie, but the Cars one is some guy pretending to sing James Taylor.
That's a good call, because the one my daughter loves, The Little Mermaid, and she got an Ariel.
We have that one.
And I've listened to that soundtrack so many times that when I put on that Ariel one for her, and it's not Jodie Benson and who else that is singing those songs, it actually made me visibly upset. Like I was
upset.
This is not how you sing Part of Your World. This is not what Ursula does when she sings Poor Unfortunate Souls. So this podcast has really devolved, by the way. But that is it's another pet peeve of mine with the Tonys. But otherwise, on the whole, they're great.
As we're continuing to try to use this to stall a little bit for Colby, have you guys watched Monsters Inc.? We're very into a Monsters Inc. phase right now.
Not with the kids. I mean, I saw it when I was I forget how old I was
like
when that movie
16,
came out.
I think, when I saw 13, it. Yeah, it was a good.
I think I watched the movie recently, and it like still kind of held up.
It aged really well. The music in it is also really, really, really good. So Colby,
Billy Crystal and John Goodman, right? Is the two
Goodman.
Voices in that one?
Yeah. I'm making, by the way, an executive call. We're just gonna bring Colby in next week. We'll redo this. We'll do it next week. It's fine because we all got to go on vacation. All right. So look for CJ, who is at Dad's at Bet. I'm Adam Rosenberg at Hey Rosenberg. Our producer Spencer is at Spencer_Ray, Ray RAY. We'd like to thank our friend of the pod, sponsor Hall of Fame Bets. You can go to it's at Hall of Fame at HOF app now. And use the code DADS. It's awesome. There's a lot of products that we use, but this is one that has an extremely unique set of tools. It is the what's his name? The Liam Neeson. It's the Taken of different betting apps, because the unique set of tools that it has allow us to crush team total markets.
Just call it the Limitless. Make a Bradley Cooper reference. That might be.
I like that one.
It's like
when he basically takes Adderall and he's just
pill.
Yeah. It's all right, cool. All right. So for everybody, check us out, handygraphs.com too. But we're at Dad's Bet Baseball. We'd love all your reviews, your likes, your subscribes, everything. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. We will be back next week, and we will definitely have Colby then because we will get our schedule straight. So bye everyone. Oh, wait, CJ, final word.
Hot dog.